Welcome to the Weekend Grill. Adrian Daher here. Paul Italiano with me.
How are you,
One
buddy?
more round to go, mate. Finals are upon us. Couple teams locked in. A couple teams bottled it. It's all happening.
It's interesting. I thought it would be this round would be still locking away 3 or 4 spots. There's only one to go now.
There's only one team outside the 8 that can potentially
Are
make
they
it
making
now.
up the numbers?
We'll find
We'll
out.
find out later on.
Mate, we have a big episode. So Damien Hardwick is now officially a Sun, and we're gonna speak about that. We're also going to speak about the controversy on Saturday night between Adelaide and Sydney Swans. I know there's been a lot spoken about it, but look, we're going to have our little 2 cents, I suppose, of course.
That was a debacle.
We'll go through the weekend results as per usual, who's cooking, and we have our Weekend Grill All-Australian team, which we will put up. And for and for anyone at home that agrees or disagrees, we're open to the opinions. By all means, let us know if you think we got it wrong. And then after that, we got our round 24 preview, which has somewhat been, it's been soured a little bit. Now there's only sort of.
Well, we were thinking this round was going to decide 3 or 4 spots. Looks like it's only going to be one game we're looking at. Well, 2 games.
There's only one team outside the 8 that can potentially or essentially make it, but there could be a bit of chopping and changing between 6th, 7th, and 8th. So
Correct. Well, we'll come down to the last game regardless.
Yeah.
If the Dogs win, then the Giants are going to have to win. But we'll go through that
absolutely
later on.
All right. Well, look, let's get stuck into it. So yesterday, Damien Hardwick was officially announced as
Officially?
the unofficial announcement. The unofficial decision came about 2 months ago.
You called it a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, 22nd of May. To be exact, no, it was actually 22nd of
exact.
May. Yeah, but look, he got offered a 6-year contract, reportedly worth about $1 million a year. I thought it was a fantastic move from both parts. He gets that security. Gold Coast at least know that they have a coach that has time to build and to take them to what they've always wanted, which is a premiership. And did you have anything to say about the Hardwick appointment? Do you like it? Do you not?
I think it's their first probably big coach they've had. I don't think they've had too many coaches.
Rodney Eade maybe, but
Yeah, but not premiership caliber.
Yep.
Comes with a wealth of experience. He's a good coach. The big debate going on at the moment is, did he leave Richmond in disarray?
Paul, this is why I love having you on the show, because you bring up these topics that,
there's debate.
You're willing to touch the parts that no one else wants to touch.
Let's go there if we need, but it's a good signing from the Suns. And it was interesting, he said, I don't know if you heard yesterday, he said 80% of the premiership teams.
He was referring to himself.
Was it?
Yeah. 80% of the next premiership is in.
It's interesting. So he's come out and he stated this list is stacked. That was his words. It's stacked.
Do you agree?
No.
Do you want my opinion or do you care?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
No, seriously.
I love your opinion.
Nah, seriously, I reckon their list is primed.
You reckon?
Yeah, and when he said that 80%, of course he wasn't referring to the 80% being himself. That's just me taking the piss. But I had a little mini analysis of their list after Carlton versed them on that Saturday night. And then I ran through it again after his press conference.
Yep.
So last night I was going through it. Their list is ready to go.
Really?
So, I think they're missing.
Because I wouldn't have had an in-depth look as you have, but I
think they're missing a couple pieces, but they are there to actually challenge for the 8. I'm not talking about premierships just yet. They are a genuine top 8. If you want to be pushy, they're a genuine top 6 team.
Top 6?
Yeah, and we mentioned a while ago, the difference between where they are and where they could be is this guy. It's Damien Hardwick. I'm telling you, teams are going to go up there, and I'm telling you, it is going to be a struggle to walk away from the Gold Coast next year and beyond and take the 4 points. If you thought it was hard previously, playing in the conditions and playing, because it does get dewy up there. A lot of Victorian teams that go there verse them at night because it's sort of like a showcase, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Carlton versed them during the day. Yes, it was hot, but the conditions were dry. If you thought that was hard playing them up there, they're going to get even harder.
And they're picking up, I think they got 3 academy players coming through, and I think they're all top 10.
Yeah, so I was watching, obviously, a lot of the talkback and the AFL shows last 24 hours, and they were mentioning how the Gold Coast Academy is literally like every year, like Damien Hardwick's going to get the first pick of the crop. Like,
Yep.
I reckon that may have been one of the big reasons why he did actually go there.
Yep.
Obviously, aside from also a different sort of scenery, Melbourne can get with the heat and not actual sun heat, but with the pressure, the forces that come at you.
Well, football is life in Melbourne.
Yeah, it is. Over there,
Everyone
it's
breeds
not.
it there. Over there, it's not. It's
Nah.
predominantly,
You wouldn't even know half of the Gold Coast
and
players.
it's predominantly NRL dominant. So they're probably not even recognised.
Yeah,
the AFL players up there. Well, it's going to be interesting. I think you're right though. I'm with you. I'm going to jump on your bandwagon.
They're not as far as what people think.
They're not because they've challenged teams this year.
Absolutely.
I think they were beating Port Adelaide at halftime in Adelaide.
Yep.
They've had leads in games.
They beat I know it was in Darwin, but they beat Adelaide Crows in Darwin.
They beat the Lions,
Yep.
which we'll talk about later about that. And they didn't just beat the Lions; they won by 40-odd points.
Well, I mean, I think they have enough there. I think Damien Hardwick has enough there to work with.
It's actually a smart move from him.
It is.
He's got a list that's somewhat, some would say,
I'm telling you now.
And then he's going to add 3 top 10 draft picks to the team.
Their list is better than the list that he left at Richmond. I'm telling you now it is.
Well, yeah, well,
it is 100%.
The list at Richmond.
The Gold Coast list at the moment is 10. I wouldn't say 10. That's a bit over the top. It's at least 1.5 or 2 times better than the list of Richmond.
The debate is, if he knew he was going to go, or he probably didn't know at the start of the year, but they've given up a lot of their future for these 2 players.
Do you think he's how do I say the word without being? Do you think he's left Richmond in a worse spot just before he left?
A lot of people say he left it in he did the right thing, and he left them in a good spot. For me, I don't see any of their young kids setting the world on fire.
No, that's because they're getting suspended. One of them's clocking people in the VFL.
I saw that.
Tyler Sons,
5 weeks.
He's got a nice holiday. No,
5 weeks.
Look, I think the Richmond list.
What do you think of that? Cochin's going. He's gone.
Cochin's gone. Rewalt's gone. Dimmer's gone. And I reckon Dimmer's... I think that whole notion or that, that all that talk about him needed to sort of freshen up and he needed a break. I mean, a break doesn't need to be 6 months or 6 weeks. Sometimes you may just need 3 or 4 weeks to clear your head.
100%.
I don't think the decision he made at Richmond was irrational. I've spoken to a lot of Richmond people, and it's funny because here I am thinking I was the only genius that sort of worked out what was going on and him going to the Gold Coast. But it seems to me, look, unofficially off the record, it seems to me that people at Richmond had a fair idea that Damien Hardwick was not going to be there post-2023.
Yeah.
I don't think they realised he was going to leave at the time he did.
That's fine.
But I think they sort of envisaged him not being there past 2022. 23, sorry.
But that's fine. Everything comes to an end. He's not going to coach there forever. His time was up. He'd been there for years. Yeah. And I agree with
307 games.
Yeah, and I agree with what he said in his...
It's a lot. Three premierships. It's a massive feat.
Yeah, he was a good coach. And his departing press conference, he just said the message wasn't getting through. And that's, as a player, when you've got someone there for a long time, it just, that spark and that drive...
It's not there.
It's not there.
So, tell me something. Do you think, how big is this for the Gold Coast group? So, the Gold Coast group at the moment, the group of players, I think they played on Saturday knowing that there was an announcement coming in a couple of days, and a lot of them were there to show what they had. It was almost like a trial.
100%.
I mean, look, it obviously got announced 48 hours after the game against Carlton, but there'll be a lot of players on that Gold Coast list at the moment that are going to try and obviously show what they have, show their worth. And I reckon his words yesterday may have got through to a lot of them. He said 80% of the next premiership team is here. How many of those players do you think are sitting there going, look, okay, I'm 80%.
Well, it's belief. You're injecting belief into the group saying, well, hang on. This guy's won 3 premierships. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And he's telling us that we're good enough to win a flag. And then suddenly you get some belief in the group.
Yeah.
Whether that comes to success, we'll wait and see.
I think it's a fantastic move. I think the AFL got what they wanted. AFL, when I say AFL, They own Gold Coast. Obviously, AFL/Gold Coast got what they want. I think it's the biggest decision and the biggest tick that club has ever made. Bigger than Ablett.
Yes.
Bigger than Ablett Jr. joining. I'm telling you.
I think when you get the right coaches, you then attract the players.
Agreed.
Yep. You want players. I feel like you want to play for someone, or you want to play for someone who's going to drive you. And they'll get some signings now in the off season.
Well, they're maxed out with their salary cap, but look, that's a discussion. Yeah, they're sort of tight, which is why they're probably not going to go for.
Okay.
You
know that?
The Dustin Martin sort of talk.
Was that why they got rid of Bose last year?
Yeah, they freed up a little bit. I think this year they're and next year they're pretty tight. But look, I think it's a good signing. I assume you think it's a good signing. I don't see any negatives attached to it. I'm not sure. Like I understand the circumstances behind it and the way he left Richmond. It may annoy a lot of people, but he doesn't know Richmond anything. If you hear the way Richmond speak about Damien Hardwick post his exit, there is no animosity. Like they're not sitting there going like, look, it seems to be amicable enough.
The only negative I see, and this is debatable, I can't see Richmond challenging for a very long time now.
I'm telling you, I'd say, mate, Gold Coast are ahead of them.
Yeah, but I think they're going to lose
more.
They're going to lose Grimes.
They'll lose Grimes. Presti's got another 2 years. Nankervis maximum 2 years.
No,
Tom Lynch maybe 2.5 if he stays fit.
And they're all coming to the end of their career. So then, like, you look at those players, you're not going to get their best footy, and they don't have a pick. I think their first pick's like 25 or 26 this year.
But they do have about 7 or 8 players between that 25 to 28 range that are rock solid, which we mentioned the other week.
Correct.
Your Bakers, your Tarantos, your Hoppers. your Jaden Shorts, all these type of players. So, and more, they
need some good young kids to come on.
Yep.
And I don't know if they've got that.
Fair enough. We'll move on. We're going to move on to the goal umpire.
The real touchy.
The real shit show that happened here where in the Adelaide and Sydney game, Ben Keys thought he had his Marcus Rashford moment when he was doing these ones pointed to his head, only to realise that it was
this whole
incorrectly called a behind.
This whole thing is frustrating.
Why? But why?
Okay.
Please tell me you're not. Okay. Please tell me you're not going to say what I think you're going to say.
No.
Adelaide are not playing finals because of that game.
No.
You're not going to say that.
I'm not going to say that.
Cool.
I'm going to say, why can't we just review every score?
Too slow.
What?
It slows the game up.
It does. Okay. I'm going to give you how it needs to run. Okay. I'm going to tell you how exactly.
You're going to tell the public how it needs to run.
Right. Out of 10, how many times does the goal umpire, get the wrong decision?
Wouldn't be more than one.
One. Yeah.
Wouldn't be more than one.
So 9 out of 10, they usually get the right decision.
Sure.
Right? Okay. Perfect. We're on the right track. Okay.
I'm loving this, by the way.
At the moment, every shot we have that's within 1 meter of the goalpost, we're going to do a score review. How many score reviews do we get a game?
I'd say it'd be
fucking 3, 4.
3 max.
For fucking be more than the most obvious things, like the goal umpire staring at the ball like this, and he can see it's clearly fucking touched, but he wants to do a score review. So we're getting 3 or 4, right?
So had he called that a goal, he probably would have been reviewed. Because the ball would have gone
so they
to
review
the
it anyway.
No, but what the AFL doesn't want is to slow the game down, which is the reason why they...
And this is my point. They already are slowing the game down because we're doing 3 to 4 goal reviews a game that I can see from my fucking couch, right, that it's gone over the line, or I can see it from row XX in Q21 that it's fucking a goal, but the goal umpire there can't. Anyway, we'll move on from that, right? We're doing 3 or 4 goal reviews. How about we just go with the umpire's call and they can review it upstairs
when the ball's kicked in?
Yeah.
And the ball if the ball's on the wing and Sydney's about to run to the forward line.
Yep.
You want the field umpire to get the call from above.
I'll tell you why. Because as you said, 9 times out of 10 we've got the right decision. So it's not going to happen. That might happen 1 time every 2 or 3 games that it will get called back. At the moment, we're doing score reviews every 3 to 4 goals a game. We're already slowing the game down as it is. It's not going to get slower. And if you really want to talk about slowing down the game, how about we just stop bouncing the ball in the fucking centre square, right?
Well, even better. How about we stop waiting for the ruckman to come to the contest?
That's what I mean.
That's fair enough. That's
common
fair enough.
sense stuff, right? You said 9 times out of 10, the umpire gets the
Yeah,
right
they do
call.
get it right,
So
yeah.
just back him in.
Yeah.
There's going to be one out of every 20 decisions, we might get a call back. Big fucking shit.
I must admit, just before we exit.
Is that a good point, by the way?
No, it was. I
like that?
Yeah.
I might go for CEO.
Yeah. CEO, mate, AFL needs a football boss, mate.
Get me on. We need some common sense in this game. We need more wogs in the game, mate. Right? Get us in.
You can't say that.
We can't say that?
No, whatever. Prefer
We
not
need
not
some
to.
more bang, mate. Just get on with it. You know, there's too much arty-farty stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Get the big calls. We're just wasting everyone's time. It's frustrating.
I agree. Imagine what it's like being an Adelaide Crow supporter. But let's just make things, before we move on, let's just make a few things clear and abundantly clear. It was a wrong decision. It was human error, the wrong decision. Should it have been reviewed? Yes, but the goal umpire didn't consult the field umpire and say, I think it's a behind. Can we just make sure that it hit the post or it didn't hit the post?
I find that funny because they almost do it for everything.
I know. I understand that. It's just amazing how sometimes, how do we put it, things just happen that are just out of others. You know, it's out of your control, right? But let's also make another thing absolutely clear. Adelaide Crows are not going to play finals because of that decision. That is not why they're not playing finals.
It's not. They didn't kick
So
straight.
we need to make sure that, you know, that Adelaide don't start pulling the compensation. Oh, we want this and we want that. And we explored all our options. If it was a goal after the siren, it's a different story. But let's make it clear again. And I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like a dickhead. But the reason that Adelaide are not playing finals is not contingent on that result. You've had 21 other games. You kicked 4 goals, 8 in the last quarter. Get real. But I do agree. If I was Adelaide Crow supporter,
it did actually cost some finals though, because it was a goal.
I understand that, Paul. But in the whole context of things, they've had 21 other games or 22 other games to make a stand. They could have kicked straight against Collingwood at the Adelaide Oval. They could have kicked straight against Melbourne. They could have won that game. They could have not got flogged by 50 points to the Bulldogs.
At the end of the day, they kicked the goal. They would have won the game. The umpire.
Yeah, but errors happen on a regular basis.
I get it was errors. And look, I agree. Look, as a coach, you said, well, listen, boys, you know,
I think
ourselves to blame. We kicked 5 goals, 8 in the last
the way
quarter.
their coach, you touched on coach as their coach. I think Matthew Nicks handled himself beautifully.
Yeah.
I thought he was very good the way he spoke. But look, to end the topic, if either of us were Crows fans, I'm telling you, if that was Carlton or Collingwood, that goal umpire doesn't walk out alive.
Don't be in the magistrate court this weekend.
If it was Carlton,
you got the best lawyers in the comp. I'm going to tell you a fun fact. That goal umpire,
here we go,
is the same umpire.
No, it's not.
Josh Jenkins he kicked a goal in the showdown and he hit the post and he called it a goal. That's the same umpire.
So you trying to insinuate something here, mate? Because this is
I'm going to even up.
I'm going to make sure
he's even the mark.
So you reckon he's not a Crow supporter?
No, well, probably not. But
anyway.
I'm not just saying that he's the same umpire, and I think that's why he was stood down because the second.
Okay, yeah, which I do find harsh, and also in a game where we're trying to bring a grassroots level where they're trying to prop up umpires and make it attractive for anyone from the public to become an umpire at local level. I do think dropping this umpire, I don't think it's a vote of confidence to him. Imagine what the goal umpires that are umpiring this weekend final is going to say. Oh fuck! No. You know what's going to happen now?
Yeah. We're going to review everything because they're not going to get it wrong. And this is why I say instead of having the goal umpire to make the decision to review it or not, back his call in. And let upstairs review every score.
Every goal gets reviewed. Just
every
know
goal.
That.
So why not just review every score? Because as I said, 9 times out of 10 they get it right.
It's probably only about 5 or 6 scores a game they'll need to review. Like
Correct.
A set shot that goes through the middle. But
that's what I mean. And if you go on 20 times out, out of 20 times, you're probably getting 19 right anyway.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not going to be a high chance that we're bringing the ball back. And protect the goal umpire too. Protect their decision so we don't have this issue. It's just common sense.
What a topic this is.
We talk about, or we don't want to slow the game down, but we still fucking bounce the ball in the air like idiots, and then we're stopping it,
and then we're waiting for the ruckman to rock up. Anyway,
then we're reviewing a goal or we need a throw in, and it's just
the bottom line is no matter how much we speak about it, it's not going to change what happened.
No, we got idiots.
It's a shit situation, but it is what it is. All right, let's go on to our weekend results, Paul. We're going to go Friday night. Let's run through these. Your Collingwood Magpies came up against Brisbane at Marvel Stadium, a somewhat depleted Collingwood side. I don't think Collingwood's going to use that as an excuse. However, it is important to take into account. Brisbane won by 24 points. Collingwood looked vulnerable to me. I watched the first 3 quarters and then I fell asleep. But you were there. You might be able to tell us more.
I think it was a sliding doors game.
Sure.
It was Brisbane win, like we're hearing now, premiership favourite.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing.
Which you did say last week, which we did put up. You said this game would say more about the Lions. Very good call.
And if Collingwood won, it was going to be about, Brisbane can't play Melbourne. They're no good. They can't travel.
It's not entirely true. They just can't play at the G.
Well, they can't play at the G, but that was what the storyline was going to be if they lost. It was all going to be about Brisbane, regardless. Everyone was saying if Brisbane don't win this game, well, now that they've won it.
They had no reason to lose the game. There's no excuse.
That's right. And now that they've won the game, they only won by 4 goals, it's all about
flags.
Flags. Collingwood's no good. Rada. I'm surprised, actually, by the players out. Collingwood had 3 players out that they're 3 players. Every club has players that they can't lose.
Yep.
And for Collingwood, we spoke about this off air, it's Darcy Moore. Like, you can't, he is a general down there for them.
Did you find it strange? Sorry, did you find it strange that even with a key defender out, that they went and put Jeremy Howe up forward? I thought it was a failure in the first half.
Well, he kept Harris Andrews.
So you're saying that he played a defense. I put a tweet out, or the Weekend Grill put a tweet out, was something along the lines of, unless he's playing as a defensive forward, this Jeremy Howe on the forward line experiment's a failure.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm asking. Like, was he there? What did he do in the first half? That's what I'm asking. Was he there to play as a defensive forward?
Well,
that's what I'm asking.
Thing, right? I think we all jump on the fall. Collingwood had no service to their forward line in the first half. They were slow ball movement. The issue is with Collingwood at the moment. Is they're not defending the ground well enough. They're not creating turnover, right? And when we do possess the footy, we possess it deep in our defensive half.
Without being able to transition as well as what you have in the past.
In rounds, rounds...
It's probably a credit to the opposition.
Correct, but rounds 4 to 14 or 15, wherever it is, we were creating turnovers at half back line, and then you were seeing that really nice link handball over the top.
Which Collingwood sweat on the turnover.
Correct, which they're not doing at the moment.
Yep.
Are
you concerned? Like, let's be clear, because I know that you cracked the shits at me off there about jumping off.
I'm not.
Are you concerned?
I think that as people in the media, and we all listen to the media,
we
get sucked into knee-jerk reactions.
Yep.
I think Collingwood got things to work on, yes, but without more Dacos, DeGoey, Hill, we only lost by 4 goals. It was only 2 goals at 3/4 time.
Yep.
And in the last quarter without Murphy, so we didn't have any defensive stocks. Right? We only lost by 4 goals. I'm not too concerned. I'm not.
Brisbane's asset is their forward line. It's the best forward line. It is the best forward line in the comp.
2 goals down. It was only 4 points midway through the third.
Yeah.
2 goals down 3/4 time. No Murphy and no Moore. Am I too concerned? We only lost by 4 goals. Not fucking really.
Fair enough.
But it's one to watch. What do I know? What do I know?
No, mate.
You know what I mean?
It's fair. Look, we'll move on.
Credit to the Lions too. They did play good too. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
Obviously, not all lost for the Pies.
No.
Interesting, because I reckon you said that 3 out of their last 4 losses. But anyway. No, that's fair. I understand.
We'll see come finals if I'm right or wrong. And if I'm right, I'm a genius. If I'm wrong, I'm a dickhead.
You're not getting a medal if you're right.
I'm getting a medal.
Your head's that big.
Bring me a fucking sticker.
Good chat. Richmond, North Melbourne. Richmond got the job done. Rewalt's last game. Cochin's last game. Zeebel's last game. I don't want to touch on what happened after the game at the Osborne. But condolences, or not condolences, but hopefully. They
were arrested actually this morning.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe everything you read, Paul. But,
I'm just saying I read that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, I'm just saying, like, you obviously, and everyone else only knows what they read. I don't think the media's telling you the full story, but they did get arrested, which is good. Richmond won, 29 points. I didn't watch a lot. I was at the Gold Cup. I did not watch this game. So, I mean, I don't know if there's much I can say. It's not a game that I went and watched the replay.
Yeah, well,
there's a few other games I went and watched.
Yeah. Only people that watched this game were probably Richmond supporters and obviously North.
And then the 5 North Melbourne supporters, yeah.
Correct.
Including our very own Luca Urso, who would have been parochial there. Loves his North Melbourne Kangaroos.
Well, they're going to get pick 1 now.
How does that work? The whole, yeah, I don't, yeah.
Any North supporters out, I don't think
so
it's
far.
I know they've been down for a while, but they're going to get pick 1, and I think they're saying they're going to get pick 2 for Mackay.
Compensation pick.
Right? So they got picks 1 and 2.
So West Coast are going to be stiff.
Correct. So West
So
Coast
West Coast got punished for winning a game.
Yeah, correct.
Beautiful.
They've moved from 1 to 3 now.
Beautiful. Love it.
You're going to get picks 1 and 2, providing they make the right picks, which they don't have a good history of, but...
I think there's a lot of upside for North.
Yeah, so
and
do
West
I.
Coast for that matter too. I don't think it's all. There's a couple of other teams that I'm more worried about, as opposed. I'll put it to you this way in short. I'm more worried about Essendon, Western Bulldogs, and Richmond as opposed to North Melbourne and West Coast.
Really?
Yeah,
I wouldn't put the Dogs in that category.
No, I would. Anyway, we'll move on. Gold Coast v Carlton Saturday afternoon, Heritage Bank Stadium. What a game it was. Carlton won the game by 4 points, mate. I genuinely don't believe, or I don't understand. I don't expect anyone to understand what it's like to be me. Like, I rock up to these games already knowing the outcome, and knowing that Carlton's going to... No, look, it was a very good game. Gold Coast jumped Carlton. They're up by 40 points at one stage. Carlton just didn't rock up. It was hot. I know it's not an excuse.
Were you still confident on your outcome when you were 30, 40 points down?
Mate, ask Mars and his brother that was sitting next to me. I was vaping. Yeah. I wasn't even watching the. I barely watching it.
Okay.
Nah, I'm joking. No, look, I was a bit concerned. I wasn't concerned about the outcome. I was concerned about the process and what was happening in the game.
Yep.
Was I confident?
What actually happened? How does... Can you
Carlton,
tell me?
I'll tell you what it was. It was a fucking typical Carlton arrogant performance in the first half. Missed tackles. These blokes were running past us. It was like a fucking home robbery. Yeah. No, seriously, Gold Coast was running. They were running harder. They wanted it more. They were more clinical. Carlton didn't have any... The pressure that Gold Coast applied impressed me a lot, which is in our opening segment when we spoke about their list. I know intensity has nothing to do with talent, and pressure has nothing to do with talent on your list. But the pressure that Gold Coast brought and the way that they played with a lot more freedom under Steve, which they have shown in the last 2 or 3 weeks under Stephen King, they outgunned Carlton. They were running harder, as I said. Their pressure, I don't know what the pressure gauge was or what it measured, but it was unbelievable. It was fierce. I don't know if Carlton got adjusted to the temperature. It was hot, Paul. I'm telling you,
it looked hot,
mate. It was bloody hot. Like it was like 25 degrees. I've never seen.
Well, they nearly stole it in the end.
Yeah, look, they almost. I think Carlton did well to bring it back on their terms. I suppose aside from one quarter, Carlton realistically had the game on their terms.
For quarters 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, it was only maybe the last 2 minutes of the last quarter where Carlton realised that, look, Gold Coast is going to come with one last push, and they did. But during the game, in those quarters 2, 3, and 4, like Carlton's kicked 2 goals, 7 in the third quarter. Gold Coast kicked 2 goals.
Yep.
The game should have been done at 3/4 time.
Yep.
Charlie Curnow did what Charlie Curnow does. I suppose it was a good sign of leadership for him. I know they showed the vision on the weekend of how when he was in the forward pocket about to go to the contest on the wing, and he's like, no, I'm just going to drop myself back. That's a good sign of leadership. It's maturity.
Yep.
I think these wins that Carlton are banking in the last 2 weeks, albeit both against Melbourne and Gold Coast only by 4 points, I think it's good signs moving forward. I don't know how much or how good stead it's going to hold them moving into the finals. What I do believe is that game on Saturday was a good kick up the arse for the Blues. I think they needed to wake up, and it just goes to show again. Gold Coast showed it against the Lions recently. If you're 10% off your game, you're going to get touched up.
Yep.
Carlton were more than 10% off their game. Gold Coast were 110% at their game, and it was reflected in the first quarter, and Carlton was able to actually rectify it. And it was a good moment of character from Carlton. No, it was a very good game to watch. It was frustrating if you're a Carlton supporter because there's a lot of opportunities that they never took. Gold Coast made sure they made the most of their opportunities. I mean, irrespective of the last 2 minutes where they kicked a couple of points, but Gold Coast made Carlton pay, and I think that's been the AFL season. I think that's why this season's been one of our best seasons. If you're off, you're going to get punished.
It's an interesting
and they did that. But look, they move on. Carlton
season.
Moves on to they've secured final spot. First time in 10 years. Huge for Carlton supporters in the club and for that group.
Boom. Get your finals tickets, boys.
Yeah, mate.
Yours
looking
to lose
forward
now,
to
is
it.
it?
And I don't know what losing is, but yeah, anyway. Moving on, Paul. GWS Essendon.
Oh,
Again,
God.
I didn't watch a little bit. I didn't get to watch this game. I watched the replay. Obviously, after the Carlton game, we're looking at the scores of this, and I'm just going like, this is ridiculous. Let's make it clear. Essendon had a finals position to gain.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me. Talk to me.
When you're in the hunt for the finals, and geez, they'd be spewing because of the results. Because of the results on the weekend.
If they won.
Yeah, I think they were in the 8 if they won.
They would have been in the 8, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really just to dish that up. I don't know if that says more about Essendon being poor or the Giants just really with a stamp
Flexing.
of authority or, like you said, flexing their muscles.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see where the Giants sit. I'm actually intrigued with the Carlton Giants game next week, which we'll get to see where they're at and how much of this performance, who it shows. But, geez, that's a really – even to lose by 126, that's really –
That's embarrassing.
That's an embarrassing performance.
That's embarrassing.
Not just
How many games has West Coast lost by 120 points this year? Wouldn't be more than 1 or 2. We're talking about a team that's won 3 games out of 25.
I think it was the Sydney game they lost by a lot. I don't think it was one. It might have been similar.
150 odd. But anyway, look, to put it short,
really bad.
It's a bad performance from Essendon. To answer your question, I think this was a game that I did watch the replay of when I got home. GWS were good. Essendon were horrible. Like Matthew Lloyd described on the Sunday Footy show as insipid. Mate, it was fucking deplorable.
To give up 25 goals.
Imagine being in Essendon. I for what it's worth, I can't stand Essendon. But the facts of the matter are, as an analyst, trying to be an analyst of the game and a fair judge, I'd be disappointed if I followed Essendon. That was horrible. I don't think the players wanted to be there. I reckon they were worried about this. I reckon they were worried about the bus to catch home. They go, we have a plane to catch tonight at 9 o'clock. The Osborne still open at 11 o'clock when we touch back down in Melbourne, is it? Oh, beautiful. I'm telling you, that's from what I saw, that's what it appeared like. But anyway, they didn't want to be there. GWS had something to play for. Essendon had something to play for. One team made sure that they made their presence felt. The other team didn't. We'll move on. Essendon can't make the 8. GWS are in a fight for the 8. They will not be making the 8. St Kilda Geelong.
I caught some of this game.
Mm-hmm.
St Kilda were good.
Yeah.
St Kilda were good, and I think
Geelong's done.
I'm glad they won. I'm glad the Saints won because I think, did we say last week they've been in the 8 all year?
They have, and they've been a much maligned team in the 8. And I don't think a lot of people have given them the respect.
Correct, yeah,
but
agree.
At the same time, I think that lack of respect is also warranted.
Yep.
Some of their performances that they had in the last 4 to 5 weeks, aside from the win on Saturday against Geelong and the week before, they were very sort of lazy, laconic. Yeah. No real sort of spark in their performances. They're getting the job done. They took care of Geelong. Geelong's done.
Yeah, Geelong are beat up.
Geelong are cast. I mean, yeah, Geelong are done. St Kilda's in the 8. St Kilda's going to play finals too. So good on them. Honestly, good on them. As much as I have disdain and I despise St Kilda, I love Ross Lyon. I like the way he goes about it. Ross Lyon is a fighter. He's happy and he wouldn't care that people in the media, much more recognisable than you or me, are having a crack at him and having a crack at his club.
He's not going to care. I'm glad they won.
Oh yeah, that's fair enough.
I'm glad they won.
I'm not. I can't stand
Well, they deserve their spot in the 8.
I agree. I agree.
If Geelong got in.
It's hard to argue. Geelong have been nowhere near a top. I've had a lot of faith in Geelong for the whole year. They've been nowhere near it. St Kilda have been thereabouts on the mark. They've had a couple of slip-ups. They've rectified that. Their last 2 games, big wins. They're in the 8. Bottom line is they deserve it.
They'll be tough to beat. That won't be easy.
I agree. Defensive structure's hard. They're the second best defensive team behind Carlton and St Kilda are number 1 and 2 in their defense.
That's why, I actually enjoyed the Carlton St Kilda game a couple of weeks ago. That was a real good
tussle.
Adelaide
versus Sydney Swans, 1 point. We don't need to say much more.
Well, we spoke about this.
Sydney jumped them. Adelaide did very similar to the Carlton and Gold Coast game, where Adelaide didn't rock up to the races. Sydney jumped them.
Yep.
Carlton found a way to come back into the game, very much similar to Adelaide. Adelaide managed to claw their way back, get their games on their terms, and really, probably for 2.5 quarters, were the better team.
Yeah, well, Sydney kicked 1 point in the last.
Yep.
And Adelaide kicked 4 goals, 8.
Did they? Yeah, well. Sydney only kicked 2 goals, 3 in the second half, by the way.
Yep.
To put that into context. Anyway, nothing more. Adelaide are not going to make finals. Sydney will make finals. They got the half game. They're
locked in.
They're locked in. Yeah, they are. It's just a matter of where they finish.
It's just a matter of where, which we'll go over.
We go on to Sunday to the. I mean, I don't. What was more embarrassing? This or was the Eagles beating the Bulldogs more embarrassing, or was the GWS Essendon game
How
much more
did
embarrassing.
this I don't get how this happened. Actually, did you see Adam Simpson after the game?
He goes, oh, yeah, well, we're thinking about Thankyou. I loved it. I loved it.
We tried kicking the ball the other way.
Yeah. Taking it like, we'll do this. Mate, yours even funnier. Mate,
Jeez, that was good from him.
in a moment in the last quarter, right, on TV, because he was sitting on the bench for the whole game. There was a moment in the last quarter where I think the Bulldogs were ahead just. They may have edged by about...
they weren't. The Dogs in the last.
Yeah, or maybe it was in the third. Or maybe the Bulldogs were coming. Mate, the Bulldogs were ahead at three-quarter time. It was in the last quarter, Paul.
Okay.
Anyway, it was the time where the Bulldogs were ahead. And Adam Simpson's sitting there with his hand over his mouth, like laughing. And I'm going, mate, you can't help but not. I mean, I'm not saying it speaks about his character. Like, I think he recognises the position him and his club are in, but to still be able to recognise that they are humans and it's okay to have a laugh. I mean, look, there's a time and place. I understand that. The way he was handling himself, I loved it. I loved it. And as for the Bulldogs, before I let you say what you're going to say, I'm just going to say one thing. That club makes me sick. They are a Rubik's Cube. Mate, they're a fucking Rubik's Cube. No one can work them out. I'm done with I'm over them. Like, I don't even follow them, and I'm sick of them. But anyway, I'll let you talk.
I think Adam Simpson knows he's on his way out. I think he'll be gone after this game. Or he may come out. This is his last game.
Who's going to... Okay. Look, we'll speak about it another time, but before we talk about coaches leaving, we don't profess to be better judge or better sort of decision makers than people at these footy clubs, but just question without notice. They get rid of him. Who the hell's going to replace him?
Oh, I don't know who's going to replace him.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Maybe they know something we don't.
But they're a strong club. They'll bounce
Absolutely.
back.
And they got the money. They got the capital to do it too.
They'll bounce. Yeah, but I agree. The Dogs are, geez.
Cast.
I do hope they...
I don't. They don't deserve to be in the eight. They don't deserve to be in the eight.
From a finals perspective,
they
don't deserve to be in the eight.
They lost a couple of games by short margins, which they have. They've lost about 3 games under a goal. They don't deserve to be in the eight.
Carlton's going to finish 5th.
Yep.
Well, actually, we'll go to the ladder shortly.
Yeah. All right. Next game, Melbourne-Hawthorn. Not much to say.
Hawthorn were okay. They pushed.
I'll tell you what we did.
They challenged.
Yep. Did you work anything out in the game? I did.
What?
Clary Oliver can't handle the tag. That's it.
Well, I don't think many players can handle his tag.
The right tag.
Yeah.
Melbourne got the job done. Hawthorn were brave. They stuck with them. Whatever. Not much to say. Very similar to the last game. Fremantle, Port Adelaide.
Yeah, that was a good win from Port. Freo, but they've hit some form.
I thought Freo gave them a decent test. Freo gave them, honestly, you know what this is? Freo gave them, all right, Port Adelaide on Sunday in that game, it was a horse that already had runs, had a break, and had a trial ready to race back again. So in horse racing terms, this was a trial between runs. That's what Port Adelaide got. They got a decent hit out before they head back to the races.
And they won, not convincingly. They got a
I
solid
thought
win.
they got the job done. Yeah. I thought Fremantle gave them enough of a test.
Freo pushed them. Port answered. And it was a good win.
Yeah,
that's why they'll be a top 4 team.
Agreed. All right, let's move on. We're going to go to who's cooking. Let's run through these. I dare say there's going to be a few changes in yours, Paul. Can I have your top 5 teams, Paul Italiano?
I got the Pies.
Who are the movers and shakers here?
Pies are still at 1.
They're still on top.
They're still at 1.
Well, that means Brisbane or Carlton have to be number 2. Has to be. No other scenario.
We're going. I still think Collingwood's 1 because of what they've done in the year. They've got the runs on the board. And then I'm going 2 with the informed team, the Blues.
I love how you had to put a prefix, like the informed. Like you're so reluctant to have us there at number 2.
No, they are. You deserve a spot, and you're the informed. How many have you won in a row?
9.
9 in a row.
We'll be 14 come 30th of September.
So, well, there you go.
That means we win the flag, by the way. No, I'm
joking. Record that.
No, you're not. Move on.
Right.
Number 3.
Melbourne at 3.
Yep.
I got Brisbane at 4 and Port at 5. And I'm going to tell you why.
No, I'm not going to. No, mate.
No, I was going to say Brisbane were on the heat before Friday about they can't finish games.
Port Adelaide, Fremantle game, Gold Coast game. I know.
Right. Gold Coast pumped them. And now they're
fucking
they're premiership favourites. Fuck off. Right. Right? You don't play at Marvel. It's at Marvel. No one gives a shit. Right? Melbourne clubs struggle when they travel from the G to Marvel.
Richmond,
I see at the MCG,
so
right?
All
When they lose at the G, we're going to hear the same dickheads that said they're going to win the flag say, they can't play at the G, right? Because we listen to idiots on the media. The media is full of dickheads, and you and I, who probably watch footy more than them,
yeah.
fucking listen to them.
I'm not sure if we analyse the game better than them, but they're their comments are probably have a lot more reach and therefore have a lot more influence, whether they be right or wrong, have a lot more influence on the public, and those knee-jerk reactions are a byproduct of these so-called the media experts.
I agree.
But to be fair, Kane Corns and David King are the two best analysts in the game. Let's just put that out there. They are.
Oh my God.
Top 5
Kane
team.
Corns?
He's the best
He's
analyst
the
in
best
the game.
analyst in the game.
He is. No, he is.
Okay.
I'm being serious. He is.
He's the
You
best
might not
analyst
agree
in
with
the game.
everything
He's the
he
best
says.
analyst.
He's
Okay.
by far the
Same
best.
bloke that.
He's by far the best analyst in the game.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He-
Chose Rosie over Walsh, remember?
No, he sent that
Do you
tongue
agree
in
with
cheek. Maybe he's entitled to his opinion.
Okay.
That's not analytical. When you analyse a game and analysing two players is two different
He's
things.
the same guy that said West Coast were tanking. Well,
Oh, I mean, Adam Simpson confirmed it anyway. I don't know, it's all semantics.
Hey,
Who
cool.
gives it? Gold jacket, green jacket. Who gives a shit? I think Kane Corns and David King are the two best analysts in the game.
Yeah, okay.
My
agreed.
top 5 teams: Collingwood number 1, Brisbane number 2, Carlton number 3, Melbourne 4, Port Adelaide 5. Paul Italiano, your top 5 players.
Oh, we've got the Bont at 1.
Yep.
Charlie Curnow at 2. I think he's the most influential. Geez, you can't afford to lose him. He's Carlton's big man. Petrarca at 3, Butters at 4, and Green at 5. Toby Green.
Very similar to mine. Charlie Curnow number 1 for me. He's the best player in the game at the moment.
Yep.
Marcus Bontempelli number 2, Christian Petrarca 3, Toby Green 4, and Zach Butters 5.
Yeah, you're right.
He's the best player in the game at the moment. He is. Like,
Curnow?
I mean, yeah, it's
I
debatable,
agree.
but I
And
think
this
at the
is
moment
what I
he
say,
is.
like when I talk about more for Carlton, like every club has their players they can't lose.
Yep.
And for Carlton, for me, it's Wiedering or Curnow.
Yep. No, I agree. Well, that rounds that up. Paul, we're going to move on to and announce the Weekend Grill official All-Australian team. Now, this is a team that's come up between the two of us. So the first line that we'll put up are the fullbacks and the halfbacks. Now, you want to run through the fullbacks that we've come up with?
Before we get slack on this too, because 3 of the 6 are Collingwood. I didn't realise actually.
Look, let's just make it clear, right? No, let's just make it clear. This is all subjective. You can agree, you can disagree, and by all means, let us know if you think we've got it wrong.
And look, this
There is no right or
There's
there is no right or wrong. Like,
the players you leave out are just as good as you know.
And I'm going to mention about 6 players after we name our team that were stiff to get in. These were players that I was tossing and turning.
All right,
I couldn't work it out.
We'll go Quaynor, Isaac.
Yep.
At back pocket.
Yep.
And I think he's got the best percentage rate 1-on-1. Jacob Wiedering, James Sicily, Sinclair Moore, Darcy Moore at centre halfback.
Yep.
And we've gone with, controversially, Nick Dacos at halfback.
That's the funny thing, because we could have put him in the midfield, but reality is the majority of his game time this year has been spent on the halfback flank.
Yep.
No, right, so that's the fullback and the halfbacks. Now we'll move on to our centre line and our half forward line. We've got Josh Dacos on the wing, Christian Petrarca in the centre, and Errol Goulden on the other wing.
I think you can't argue with that.
I think it's very hard to argue. You were 50-50 about the Josh Dacos being a certainty to make the team. He's on the other wing.
I think halfway through was Nick Martin or him, and I think as the years gone on, Dacos has slowed that in.
And the half forward line, we've got Kyle Langford on the half forward flank, Taylor Walker as your centre half forward, and Toby Green on the other half forward flank. I mean, Kyle Langford, for me, he's probably not going to make the official one, but I think he should be up. I think he should be in the discussion.
He's one of Essendon's best players.
Yeah, and he's very good. He's a good swinger. He's a very good high half forward. Toby Green, he stamps himself. Taylor Walker stamps himself. I suppose maybe just looking at the centre and the half forward line there, I'd say maybe Josh Dacos and Langford might create a bit of debate.
Well, who's been better than Josh Dacos on a wing?
Errol Goulden, he's on the other wing.
Well, he's
on the other wing.
Yeah, well, he's on the other wing.
No worries. We're going to move on to our full forward and followers here, which should come up now. Go give us your full forward line.
Myers. He's got the most assists.
Yep.
In the comp.
This is one that people are going to arc up like this, which is fair enough. It's cool. Whatever.
I think our team is more an actual team. Not I'm not going to put.
We're not basing on stats.
I'm not putting Clayton Oliver in my forward pocket.
No, I agree.
Just
for the sake of fitting him in.
Kane Corns analysis will do anyway.
Absolutely.
Myers, Curnow, Cameron.
Yep.
Vroom vroom. Timmy English, is our All-Australian ruck.
He's got the fastest V-rod in the
He
country.
does, mate. Actually, Maynard caught him on the weekend. And we've got the Bont and Zach Butters.
Right, so that's our full forward line and our followers. Now we're going to go onto the bench. So the interchange was hard. Like I just didn't want to pick play. We didn't want to pick players for the sake of it. So these are players that really you could have put them in the starting 22. Nick Blakey, Rowan Marshall, Sam Taylor, and Jordan Dawson.
Yeah. I think the actual squad.
Rowan Marshall was stiff to not be the All-Australian. Like Tim English has had a very good year, but
both had.
Rowan Marshall's given a decent push. Like
Yeah, he has.
He was about to replace Tim English in that team.
Yeah. Oh, Sam Taylor might. I wouldn't be surprised.
He's missed a little bit of footy.
Yeah, he may be one that. I wouldn't be surprised if Darcy Moore misses out.
I disagree. There are a few players as well, just for the viewers at home and everyone watching, as to, players that were honourable mentions that I think could actually be in the official team. Harris Andrews, Nick Newman, Dustin Martin, Max Gawn, Connor Rosie. Connor Rosie is probably the one.
Yep.
Connor Rosie is probably the one that I reckon. I wouldn't say we fucked up. We didn't stuff up. It's just all opinion based. But
Gawn may
Connor
get in the
Rosie's
squad,
yeah,
but he's not.
Connor Rosie, I'm talking about in the actual team. Connor Rosie,
correct.
Connor Rosie and
correct.
Harris Andrews could potentially be in that team.
Yeah, don't be surprised if Moore misses out.
Fair enough. Right, we're going to announce who our weekend Griil All-Australian captain is. Do you want to do the honours, Paul? Who gets that gold jacket, green jacket? Who gives a shit? Who's leading the fellas out, mate? Who's leading them out?
The tough nut, and he's done a great job this year, Toby Green.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah, he's given him another edge this year. I think
there's probably two or three others in the team that could put their hands up. Tim or Darcy Moore.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to say it's Toby Green. I think he deserves it.
Let's go with someone with a rough edge.
Absolutely. Right, that's the weekend Griil All-Australian team. Paul, we're going to move on to a round 24 preview. There's probably only 3 games really that have some sort of relevance, but Essendon Collingwood Friday night. Essendon need to bounce back. Collingwood need to win to keep top spot.
The thing about this game is I'm more interested in the team selection of what, and that will tell you where Collingwood's head's at.
Yeah.
If they put everyone on ice, then geez, well,
you do have another week after this week to be on ice.
I just keep hearing McRae say it's risk and reward, and I think with Moore and Dacos off, you can't afford to lose any more troops. It's so important.
Okay, so you're just judging by what you just said there. You're not insinuating. You're suggesting that perhaps Collingwood could have another couple of players rested.
I don't think Murphy will play, and I don't think Murphy's going to play.
Who wins the game?
That's the only one. I think Collingwood will win.
Fair enough. This is actually going to be an interesting game, this next one on Saturday, Arvo. For what it's worth, I'm going to go the Pies. Saturday, Hawthorn v Fremantle, MCG, $1.58 Hawthorn, $2.40 Fremantle. I mean, Hawthorn are favourites, but I mean, geez. I don't know about that. I know they're going good. The Hawks are going grouse.
I'm going Hawks.
You're going to go Hawks?
At the G. Geez, they play well at the G.
Yeah, I know. Mate, to be fair, their last... after that Carlton game, where Carlton touched them up, the Hawks have played well the last 6 weeks of the year, 6 or 7 weeks of the year.
Agreed.
I don't know about this game. I'll come back to you at the end.
Okay.
North Melbourne, Gold Coast.
I'm going to say...
In Hobart, by the way.
Ooh. I'm going to say North.
And you're off your head. Gold Coast will win the game.
Okay.
Brisbane, St Kilda. Gabba, 4.35. Second v6. There's a big discrepancy here in the market. You wouldn't expect to see a second v6 game where the favourite in this match is $1.20. St Kilda are $4.20. I mean, the market's really wrong. Well, you got to respect
Brisbane
the
don't lose at home, so you're going to go Brisbane.
The gap too big? No.
It's
probably a 4-goal margin. I haven't looked at the spread,
well,
but I'm judging that it's about 4 goals.
Yeah, the Lions touched them up earlier in the year, I think.
Yeah.
At
that was
Marvel.
At Marvel, yeah.
And the Lions just don't lose at the Gabba. That's why they're $1.20. Sure. The next game is interesting. The Dogs.
Geelong versus Western Bulldogs at GMHBA Stadium. Geelong season over. Bulldogs got it all to play for. I read somewhere that Hawkins won't play, Cameron won't play.
In for surgery.
Who?
I reckon.
Who? Both?
A lot of players gone in for surgery this week.
And they're still favourites.
I'll be taking the Dogs.
That can't be right. That market hasn't adjusted. That surely cannot be right.
Wow. It's in Geelong.
I don't care. I'm tipping the Dogs too.
Well, this is the thing. He tipped. Well, they just did lose to West Coast.
No, but this is what we say.
Is Liberatore playing?
Yes, he'll be back from concussion. He's sure.
Dogs win. Dogs win.
It's contingent on Libba playing, is it?
Yes.
It's not the worst call. That's fair enough.
He's a very important player.
Agreed. You going the Dogs?
I'm going the
Dogs. West Coast, Adelaide. Adelaide wins the game. Maybe it might be Simo's last game. If it is, I hope they tell us this week. Like, don't fucking tell us.
They will.
No, I'm just saying, like, don't wait till, like, October or during grand final week or during semi-final week and go, we've made the decision to move on. Like, he's a premiership coach there.
Celebrate.
If you believe that it is his last game, if West Coast are going to come to the decision that it is his last game, I think it'd be prudent. Just let the public know so we can celebrate him.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah. Adelaide wins the game. Port v Richmond Sunday, 12:30, early start, obviously, so the AFL's finally worked out that they don't want an overlap between games. It's only taken them 23 rounds and 10 years in the past. 12:30 start. That's Australian Eastern time, which means that it's 12 o'clock start in Adelaide. Port Adelaide v Richmond.
Early. Port win.
Can't
say Richmond winning.
Nah, big game this. Sydney v Melbourne, big game.
Oh, is that the Sunday?
Yeah, that's a 3:20 game.
This is a big game too.
So GWS and Carlton.
Sydney are the favourites.
I can't work that out. This is a game where thankfully Buddy's come back. Buddy's doing a lap of honour as he should. I think as AFL fans, to be honest, if I wasn't going to the Carlton GWS game on Sunday, I'd be half a chance to go to Sydney just to go watch him do a lap of honour. This is a legend of the game, so I'm glad he's being honoured. He's a legend of the game.
He's been my favourite player to watch growing. The way you're never going to see anything like him.
I don't think we will either. I'd be interested to see how this game pans out. I mean, it's funny. Melbourne's defence at the moment is the only thing right now that is keeping them in the game. We didn't speak about it earlier with their matchup against Hawthorn, but a fortnight ago you mentioned we were speaking about after Melbourne versus Carlton that I thought Grundy would get dropped. And I don't think they gave him a game in that Carlton game to give him an actual chance. He did get dropped against Hawthorn. So at the moment, they're tossing up between their forward line. Josh Shackey started as their sub against Hawthorn. I'm not sure how far Bailey Fritsch and Tom McDonald are, but I reckon that's what they're waiting for. So Melbourne have been able to tinker with a few things while still winning games. Do they win on Sunday against Sydney? Because if Sydney lose, Sydney is still in the 8. Sydney are locked in the finals. Now it's a matter of Sydney finish 7th, 6th or 8th.
Sydney win.
Wow.
I think they got... Well, the thing is going into that game, Port's probably won.
Yep.
So for Melbourne, they can't drop and they can't move up. So what are they playing for, really?
But if Collingwood lose, which they won't, so essentially, I mean, this is the thing. It's
not going to matter if Collingwood lose.
I reckon those last two games, we'll get to the Carlton GWS game soon, but those last two games on Sunday,
they're the ones that hold the most merit.
All four teams are going to know where they stand and have the upper hand. So Melbourne will know whether they want to go full pelt, foot on the accelerator because...
Well, they can't, though, because if Port win, they can't jump Port.
I know, but this is what I'm saying. Like, they know they're probably going to finish 4th.
Correct.
You know what I mean? They're 4th at the moment.
They're 4th.
Should have put they are 4th.
They're 4th, and if Port lose and they win, they'll jump to 3rd.
Right, which means they don't want to go to Gabba.
Yeah. You'd rather finish 4th and stay in Melbourne. So don't be surprised if they rest some players this week.
Fair enough.
But then they're a bit stiff if Collingwood
whatever. So if Collingwood lose and
I'll piss myself if Steve selection comes out and
Collingwood's rested.
Melbourne's rested all their players, right? But Collingwood have rested all their players, and Collingwood lose Friday night. Melbourne is stuck to play the Brisbane at the Gabba.
Because Collingwood would rather versus Collingwood would rather versus Port Adelaide at the G finish 2nd.
Stick that up your ass, Melbourne. Go to the Stone, piss off. Anyway,
get your cheese boards.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
Carlton v GWS. It's ironic how this is the last game, and to be honest, this has been. I've been saying this, I reckon, since maybe around 19 or 20 when Carlton was still in the hunt. I thought that they would purposely put this will be the last game around, and it was
correct. You could potentially verse Giants 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. So there's a couple of scenarios here. For starters, who do you think you think Sydney win that game against Melbourne?
Oh
right?
Yeah, it's tough. But
I'm gonna go Melbourne in the Carlton GWS game. Who do you think is going to win the game?
Carlton.
I think GWS will.
Really?
I think this is a game we lose. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Well, I think we still get 5th or 6th, just a matter of where. So,
But this is the thing.
this is the thing.
You could be potentially playing the Giants at home.
Or Bulldogs.
Yeah. Or
Sydney.
just say Sydney win and you
I'll
lose.
tell you we can't verse St Kilda.
Yes, you can.
How?
Oh, well, I'll tell you how in a second. If you lose to the Giants,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You
And St Kilda lose by 50 points.
No. If you lose to the Giants and Sydney win,
Mm-hmm.
you'll play St Kilda. Well, there's got to be a percentage drop.
No,
yeah,
we won't.
yes.
No, it's
There's 5%
yeah.
running.
What you're saying is true, but that would mean Carlton would need to lose by 40 points, and Sydney would need to beat Melbourne by 40 points for us to drop.
Is that how much? Well, it's,
Yeah,
how
it's
much
about
is 5%?
6.5%. It's a lot.
It is?
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's
I don't
not.
think it's that
It's not a
much.
20-point win.
No, I know, but one team's winning and the other team's losing.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of water to go under the bridge. So look, I suppose, as I said, the last 2 games.
you wouldn't want to play St Kilda. I think that's
Why?
one. Wow.
Why?
Would you rather
You're
play?
the second person to say that. Why?
Okay, I'll tell you why. Well, would you rather play St Kilda at the G?
Yeah.
Or GWS at the G?
St Kilda,
Really?
mate. 1,000,000%. St Kilda.
Okay, I'd rather verse
GWS. I
Yeah.
think you're pound foolish.
Okay.
I completely disagree. I'd rather verse St Kilda. Seriously.
Well, they've run
I'm
you
not-
pretty. They've beat you once.
Yeah, with half a team. But yeah, fair enough.
And they lost. Well, they lost as well to you guys.
Yeah. The first of our 9-game losing
Well,
streak.
the most likely scenario
Mm.
is you play the Dogs at the G for me.
Yeah.
The Dogs win and the Giants lose. Simple as that.
But that's if Carlton lose and
Well, if you lose,
GWS
GWS
win.
make the 8.
Yeah,
regardless of what Bulldogs do.
But GWS has a potential. So this is why I'm saying the last two games are so relevant because if Sydney lose an hour before, right? If Sydney lose that game to Melbourne, if GWS win, we end up versing the Swans.
Correct.
Because
If the Giants
let's
win,
be
if
honest,
the Giants win though,
I'm not being disrespectful to St Kilda, but they're not beating Brisbane. So as far as I'm concerned, St Kilda is not. I'm not speaking about them because the only 3 teams that are relevant here are Sydney Swans, GWS, and Bulldogs.
yep.
Right. If Carlton wins and Sydney loses,
Carlton wins, Sydney loses. Yes.
and the Bulldogs win, Carlton versus the Dogs.
Correct. That's what
But
I'm saying.
if Carlton loses and Sydney loses, Carlton versus the Swans.
Correct. Yes, that's right. But so I can't see Carlton losing the game, to be honest.
Don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. It's gonna be
There is a
interesting.
lot of big ins for a lot of their engine rooms back.
The Giants.
No, Carlton.
Oh,
So
Carlton.
Chera, McGovern, and Walsh should all be back. But I have a feeling they may rest Cripps.
He finished with a pad around his
Chest, his ribs.
Yep.
All right, just to recap the tips. Let's go back to Friday. Paul?
Friday we're going the Pies, Hawks, North.
Yep.
Just going an upset.
Yep.
Brisbane, Dogs, Crows, Port. I'm going to go with Melbourne. Oh, actually, no. I'm going to go with Sydney.
You said Sydney.
Yeah, I'm going to go Sydney and the Blues win.
Thank you. Collingwood, Fremantle, Gold Coast, Brisbane, Bulldogs, Adelaide, Port Adelaide, Melbourne. I'm not decided yet on that last game. I'm going to say the Giants. I think we'll get done.
Well, according to your tips you've just given me, Carlton plays Sydney at the MCG.
Yeah.
Would you be confident heading into that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried.
Well, you think
I'm not worried about anyone.
What are you going to win the flag? What do you got to worry about?
Nothing.
You just
Honestly, man, I'm worried
don't
about.
think you're going to worry about getting your grand final
I'm
ticket.
worried about.
No, that's
mate,
it, mate.
I'm worried about
You
the
just- that's
after
it.
party. No, mate.
Oh, that just the after party.
I'm
is
worried
it?
about the after party on Saturday, September 30, and where it's going to be. And I'm going to try and make sure that the celebrations.
If anyone can hear this,
no, you're not playing that. Don't.
well, nobody needs to turn up.
You're not playing that. Don't play it.
No,
Anyway.
according to your social media, there's no
They're
point.
wasting their time.
Everyone's wasting their time, and there's no bother rocking up to the MCG.
If you're an opposition fan, correct?
There's no bother
Yeah,
rocking.
yeah.
Anyone watching, don't bother rocking up because Carlton has won the flag. This is why it's going to make it all sweeter when you fall on your ass, all right? Because we know what Carlton does. Carlton let you down.
Yeah, no, mate.
That's a proven fact.
Mate, as a Collingwood supporter, man, you can worry about us, man. But you know why? Because we're loved by many, hated by more, envied by all. So I understand where
There's
you're coming
nothing-
from. I certainly understand your envy about Carlton.
There's nothing to worry about when you're top of the ladder.
Mate, we live rent-free and you're top of the ladder and you're worried about Carlton falling on their ass.
I'm not worried.
Say no more, bro.
I'm not worried about
say
Carlton.
no more. You're worried about us and you're on top of the ladder.
I'm not worried about you.
You just said it for me.
I'm not worried about you,
I know who
Adrian.
you're worried about. You got some other videos on there? No, we're not showing that. Anyway, shut up. Paul, shut up. Stop. Thanks to everyone for watching in. Let us know about the All-Australian team. So we put that All-Australian team up. Let us know if you think we got it right, if you think we got it wrong. Like, share, subscribe. Next week, we won't be on. We will be back for the first week of finals. So I hope your team plays well in the last round and whoever you follow, enjoy.
Be good.
Thanks.